Hey, this is Ryan from the Black Dahlia Murder, and you're watching Loud TV.
Hey guys, today I'm with Ryan from the Black Dahlia Murder. Hello. How you
Hello,
doing?
hello.
So we won't have the answer to the question who is the Black Dahlia murderer, but we will have answers about this new album. I love it. Listen to this album all day long, and it's tremendous.
Thank you, thank you.
So this is the very first album without Trevor, and so you are back for 2 years, right?
Yeah, I rejoined in October of 2022. So yeah, coming up on 2 years here in about a month.
Your guitar player, Brian, he went on the vocals.
Yeah.
Um, was it an easy choice, and did you search for other maybe singers before, or was it the first choice?
Yeah, like once everything happened here. No, we didn't really search for another singer at all. Just basically, like replacing Trevor with someone else that has no history in the band. I mean, no matter how good the person would have been, even if, they would have sounded just like Trevor, they can write lyrics just like Trevor, it just would have seemed just really fake. It would not have worked for us as a band or our fans. Um, so yeah, the obvious choice was just, when Brian was like, yeah, I'll just put down the guitar and I'll be the vocalist. That was like very obvious. Like that would be like the road for us. Um, so yeah.
What was it also is an easy choice to for you to come back in the band?
Yeah, it was, for me coming back, it kind of happened pretty naturally. When Brian asked me to come back, I was living in Nashville, Tennessee at the time, and me and my wife were expecting our son, and we didn't have any family in Nashville, and my wife is originally from the Detroit metro area where Black Dahlia is from. So when Brian asked me to come back, I was like, hey, like we've already been thinking about moving back to Michigan. So right after that phone call, it was about a year later, we moved back up here to Michigan where we live now. And, and I had like a job, essentially like right when I got here. So it kind of just naturally worked out, for our sort of circumstance.
There's maybe less sun than in Tennessee, right?
You know, from about October to March, there's definitely less sun. Definitely very overcast here. But man, it really does get really hot here, almost just as bad as Tennessee. It just doesn't stay hot for as long as in Tennessee, but yeah, a little bit less sun in the fall, winter, and early spring. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was wondering, what did you do after quitting the Black Dahlia Murder? So you moved to Tennessee, right? What was your job?
Yeah, I was living in Chicago when I first left the band, and I just taught guitar for about 2.5 years. And then I started getting a little burnout on that. And then shortly after, around 2018, we moved down to Nashville. And then, what did I do? I was still teaching guitar a bit there. And then I was actually a FedEx driver for a minute. And that was a cool job, when I was trying to like figure out like what exactly I wanted to do. And cool job, but man, it wreaks havoc on your body after a while. So did that for about maybe a year and a half or so. And then I got into doing IT at a like Ivy League university there in Nashville, and that was really cool because I've always been in like computers and IT and stuff. And so I did that for a while, and that's pretty much what I was doing up until the point where I rejoined the band.
Okay. Um, so how did you write this new album? Did you do together, or
Yeah, basically, when it came time to record the new record, Brian was like, "Why don't we do like 9 songs?" And then basically we just split it up into thirds. So like basically, yeah, like Brian wrote 3 songs, I wrote 3 songs, and Brandon wrote 3 songs. And we pretty much followed suit with the way that we always write records. Like when I was in the band the previous time, like Brian would write about the half of the album, I'd write about half the album. Then when I left, him and Brandon kind of did the same thing. He'd write about half, and Brandon did about half. And then pretty much the way we write is like we all just kind of go to our home studios. We don't really collaborate very much. We kind of just write the songs, demo them out, program drums to them, so that really by the time we give it to the band, it's like a pretty much a finished demo. That has no vocals over it, but the music is pretty much done. And then everybody can kind of give their input, and usually not very much is done after that. Like sometimes there might be something very small changed here or there, but and a lot of times like nothing's changed. So yeah, it's pretty much the way it goes.
it seems that I've read an interview with Brian, and he said, yeah, we sometimes we don't talk too much. It's pretty natural together after maybe 20 years, yeah,
Yeah,
and don't need to talk sometimes, it's like intuitive.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty much the way it is. I feel like we all just kind of, especially at this point, we all just kind of like know how to write songs for the band. So yeah, we kind of just like we just get to it, and we may converse a little bit over text or on the phone, like, hey, what if this part was shorter or whatever. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, it's pretty much just we kind of all just go to it alone. Yeah.
So you recorded the album. It's like kind of homemade, right? Especially on the bass, guitars,
Yeah,
vocals, except the drums.
yeah. So we did the drums down in Nashville with Mark Lewis, who we've worked with many times before, and but other than that, yeah, the bass guitar, the guitars, and the vocals, we all did it. Brandon, or the guitar player's house in New Jersey, and then the album was mixed back in Nashville with Mark and Brandon, worked together to mix it. And Brandon pretty much oversaw like the entire course of the whole record. Had his ears on it, and was giving directions. But yeah, it's pretty nice being able to do it that way. It's always good when like you have one of the band members like sort of like at the helm.
I feel the sound of the album and the guitars are amazing. I think it's quite better than Verminous. I don't know if the support but I feel the sound is really great. Maybe thanks also to the mastering of Ted Jensen.
Jensen, yeah, yeah. That I think his mastering job was really phenomenal. And yeah, I agree. I think the record's just got, I don't know, to my ears, it's just got like it's got a high def sound to it. It is a little bit different than some of our other records, but I would definitely put it, I think it's like in the top best sounding records. Definitely like definitely in the top 3, I would say.
I love also the guitars. Sometimes I feel I can find some old influence maybe
Yeah, yeah, for
in
sure.
the melodic way, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. In Flames is kind of like, they're definitely, especially like the older In Flame stuff, that's like a huge influence. It's one of the huge, they've influenced our band just so much. And I feel like the In Flames influence is one of those things that's probably like so ingrained in all of us. Like we almost don't even have to think about it, at this point. It just kind of like comes out a lot of the time, almost naturally. So yeah.
And in the lyrics, Brian wrote all the lyrics. It seems that it was pretty natural, and he said that it was even easier to write lyrics than writing new music.
Yeah, as far as the lyrics go, like the band, Brian really like kept sort of like true to like, a lot of our lyrics in the past they're like stories. They're storytelling, and whether it be like horror or like science fiction or fantasy or just any of those things. He wanted to like kind of just keep it true to the band, like telling a story, and that's what he did. And sort of just like did it his own way. He's finding Brian's definitely finding like his own style, his own lyric writing style, his own vocal style, his own style of being a front man on stage. So yeah, I think he did a great job.
And the first time you went on stage together with Trevor and Brian on the mic, how was it?
I think it was probably pretty emotional for all of us, regardless if we talk about it or not. But like, yeah, it's just like it's almost like surreal, like you almost can't believe that like you're in the situation you're in, or like this is how life is now. So, but yeah, I mean, and now that we've done it, over the last 2 years, it's hard for me to believe that it's been almost 2 years since we've been doing it now this way. But yeah, I feel like we've kind of we're pretty much adjusted to it at this point. Yeah, it just feels like this is just like a new era.
Yeah, let's go back to the lyrics. And so, what is there any concept or with the servitude? I don't know if it's. I made some researches because servitude we have the same word in French,
Right.
and so it's like it's the origin is in Latin. It's servitude, which means slavery,
Right.
and so I think we are all the slaves of something or someone, right?
Right. Like somebody was asking me this too the other day, and the word servitude, yeah, since it kind of like references back to like slavery, it has like I guess like you would say like a negative connotation, but like, and again, like this is probably really an answer for Brian's answer, but I can only answer it in the way that like I sort of perceive it. But like I feel like we're just like serving the band, the legacy of the band, and hopefully the fans. We're trying to do our best to create something that kind of like serves the legacy of the band that we're in, but also something that we can connect with the fans. Despite all of it has obviously happened.
So it's more a positive word for you.
Yeah, at least that's the way I view it.
I talked to Evan from Biohazard
Hmm.
2 months ago, and he said, "You French people are always crying," and this is right. And maybe this is. I see the negative, negative face of the word, and you see the positive face of the words. It's yeah, it's good.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. And there's definitely like things that people can probably like read some of the lyrics on the record and draw their own interpretation from it. Sometimes, but yeah.
And how do you were in France, right? Few
Yeah.
months ago.
Yeah. Well, actually, we were just there probably like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, you were at the motoculture.
Yeah, right. And then we did Hellfest earlier in the summer.
I was there.
Oh yeah, that is. I hadn't been there in a while. That has really turned into quite a fest. I mean, it was already quite a fest the last time I played it, but it is really something else.
Everyone said that it's one of the best
Yeah.
festival, especially on the artist side, with all the backstage.
Oh yeah, it's
Um,
it's great. I mean,
it's
it's
pretty
like,
smooth, right?
yeah. It's like I feel like I'm at like a cool restaurant hangout spot or something all day. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really awesome.
Um, I was wondering also of this artwork. So if you zoom in, it's like a painting, right?
Right.
And so we can see if you zoom a lot, uh, you can see the paint brush. And who did that?
His name is Paulo Giardi.
Okay.
Paulo Giardi. And he does like, and yeah, his paintings are oil paintings. He's done, I know he's done a cover for like Rivers of Nihil. That's like right off the top of my head. He's done a bunch of covers though. Like, I'm kind of just looking right now. But yeah, he's done a lot of covers. Like he was like definitely like one of the first guys. We're like, yeah, this, the second like somebody suggested like, yeah, maybe we should get it, like a painting. We were like him, so.
It's maybe more, I would say, natural than I can remember your previous artworks.
Right. Yeah. I feel like maybe the closest ones to this one are maybe Ever Black, or maybe like maybe even like Nightbringers. But even that, this one's still much different from those. And then I know, and yeah, and some of the stuff in the past is very like Ritual, for instance, is very like, it's very like symmetrical. It's like geometrical. And I think a French guy did that, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember his name, but he's great. I really like that cover.
A lot of French guys doing the artworks.
Right. But yeah, you're right. This is very. I feel like this one is very unique, and it's if you look at all the other covers.
What about this huge, massive hole? Is it a positive, or I would say it's a negative thing?
I think this is probably one of those scenarios where Brian kind of came up with the artwork, but I think it's less about the meaning and just more about how sinister and cool it looks. like what if we had a big whirlpool in the ocean with boats going into it and some demons? It's more of like I'm thinking like what would be like cool and dark and metal. I have a feeling it's probably more along those lines.
Yeah. When you were out of the band for years, when we are out of a major, because the Black Dahlia Murder is a major death metal band today, were you listening to metal actually, or?
Not really, to be quite honest. I was mainly listening to a lot of jazz, a lot of like 70s music, a lot of like 70s prog rock and fusion, like My Vision Orchestra, stuff like that. A lot of old country music, like Ray Price, stuff like that. Stuff like Ry Cooder, which he's kind of like, well, he's done a lot of stuff, but like more of like his like, I don't know, just a lot of stuff, like bossa nova stuff. Just so not really, yeah. Listen to a lot of Electric Light Orchestra. I love them. Love basically anything Jeff Lynne puts his hands on. I love. But yeah. In other words, like not a lot of metal.
And I feel it's a great thing, to be out, to have new sound in your ears, new influences, and especially when you are in Tennessee,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's like so many great musicians in Tennessee, and just a lot of like great music. I feel like just some of the stuff, some of the live music you can see in Tennessee too. And I'm not talking about necessarily down on Broadway, but like just some of the stuff you can see like at the VFW Hall in East Nashville, where you can go see like just old like honky tonk and Western swing and stuff. There's like some cool stuff there that like I would argue like it's one of the only places, at least in the States, that you can really see that stuff. I mean, of course, like bluegrass. I mean, bluegrass is a bit, you can see that definitely in a few places in the States. But yeah, Nashville's for sure a great place to live, especially for music, of course.
Great. And now you have a lot of dates, I think, in the US, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We got right. Yeah, we got a big US tour coming up. There's also a few Canadian dates. It'll be about 5 weeks worth. It's like us, Dying Fetus, Spite, Angel Maker, and Vomit fourth. And yeah, it's going to be a killer tour. I mean, it's
Wow.
always killer to tour like some legendary band like Dying Fetus, but it's also good. We have some younger bands on the bill, and we're always hopeful that, like, of course, I'm sure our fans will be there. Sure, Dying Fetus fans will be there, but also we're hoping like some of these other bands will bring in like another crowd who may be even less familiar with us, and that's always the thing. You want to get of course you want your fans, but you also want to try to bring in some new fans as well. So
I think the best bills are when they're mixed people. When you listen to, I can remember in the 90s, no, it was in the 2000, and there was, I discovered their Death Angel when they reformed, but there was Testament, Marduk, so mixing black metal, extreme metal, thrash metal. I think
right,
it's one of the best bills.
yeah, I think that's awesome. I agree. And like in the early days, this was before I was in Black Dahlia. Like Black Dahlia's really benefited from that because, I mean, in the early days, the band would be touring with bands like Terror. We just did a tour with Terror like a year ago, and like Hatebreed. So you got kind of got like the hardcore crowd. I feel like
Yeah.
even Terror is hardcore, but you kind of probably get some like punk rock crowd from that too. And of course back then there was way more. There's like some metalcore bands back then. So the band was just kind of touring with like a lot of different type of bands, and I really feel like to this day like that really helped the band because I feel like we do to a certain extent have like kind of like a crossover audience. There's definitely kids that are probably like a lot really into maybe like hardcore punk rock that are into us too, and maybe some of that stems back from those days. But yeah, I agree. It's good to have like a diverse bill.
And you were talking about Dying Fetus. I love this band.
Yeah,
And I can remember at that time, the mix between hardcore and death metal was so unreal. And
right. I feel
I,
yeah, I feel Fetus is like such a man. They're just such a classic example of that because they're of course like just at this point like a classic death metal band. But like they're also a band like they slam pretty hard, so like the hardcore kids can get into them. And then now that we've had this huge resurgence of deathcore, definitely you cannot. I feel like I mean I'm not. Fetus is of course a death metal band, but man, like you can't. I feel like you can't see some of the origins of like deathcore in Fetus because they just slam and they're so heavy. It's just like so. Yeah, you definitely, especially with them, like I feel like you can get like a mix of people for sure.
so good moments on the on the road. And what's the program for this fall and after maybe next year?
Yeah, so essentially, yeah, we will close this year out with this upcoming tour we were just talking about, in the fall in the U.S. and some Canada dates. And then next year, I mean, it's all still in the works, but I'm pretty sure we'll be heading back to Europe. I don't know about the States yet. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we do the States again, but probably not until the end of next year. And then probably, I'm sure some of the other places in the world we haven't been yet. Probably like Mexico, South America, Asia certainly. So yeah, that's probably what's all coming up. A lot of different stuff coming up.
Don't forget the crazy guys from Mexico and the
Oh
crazy
yeah,
guys
yeah.
from
I mean,
South America.
yeah. I mean, it's somebody. I was talking. Somebody was asking me earlier today, like, who do you think the craziest fans are? And I was
It
like,
seems so. I have to go to a metal concert in maybe, I don't know, Mexico or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I would probably say like down there somewhere. It just gets wild. And I don't know. They just sit, like that. South America is like one of the places that I always think about how like people will sing the melody of the song as loud as you're playing it sometimes. And that whenever I think about that, that is very much like South America. I think it's like Argentina where I have experienced that a lot. But yeah, they definitely get wild down there.
Great. Whatever. Thank you, Ryan. Congrats for this new album. I think this is a new era for the Black Dahlia murder. And what a great comeback. Congrats.
Thank you for having me. Glad you like the record. It's like all we can ask for. Thank you.